How are we doing? 2025. Ben from the regions here, obviously. When we put out that last market update about the policy changes and particularly moving off of median wage for junior staff, we got a lot of engagement, which is awesome. Thank you to everyone for reaching out. And I thought it's probably easier to do this en masse in a video. So, yes, everyone has understood correctly that the wages for juniors have effectively been lowered. These are for new to the country and entry level dairy farm staff. The wording on policy is market rate. If you just take one thing away from this video, let's call it $26 an hour. You can hold me to that. If there's any back and forth and ambiguity, I will back that up with data. In another really good way to view it, it's minimum wage, say plus 10%. That $26 an hour in agriculture can be measured across working hours in the season. It most certainly includes accommodation and other benefit values that farms are providing their staff. And depending on the exact working hours on a dairy farm, that is between $10,000 and $15,000 lower wages that new junior staff. You can't go in there rough and tumble and alter the existing contracts and wages of other staff. But for new juniors entering the industry, yeah, that is correct. So I guess just pulling together the comments and the questions, and I'll try and make this as simple as possible. Yeah, it is unheard of, and certainly the first time in however long I've been doing this job that wages have been driven down. There were a lot of variables that allowed this lobbying to be successful. I guess first and foremost, I want to address and make sure there's no misunderstanding. As everyone watching this video is going to appreciate, a dairy farm is a price taker. In almost every other corner of the economy, a business selling a good or a service is a price maker. I'll just use our business for example. If we face fundamental cost rises for the price of petrol when account managers are driving around the country catching up with clients, or the cost of our internal staff, the unfortunate reality, but I guess the benefit, we alter pricing and it gets passed along. The same goes, for the lettuce grower or the supermarket. If their costs of input increase, they pass it along and your lettuce costs more. In the agriculture sector, given the nature of our wonderful market, for better or worse, the global milk price and $8 or $10 per solid is what the farmer must take. They can't say to Fonterra or Open Country, hey, you now got to pay me another $1.50 per solid because my staffing costs got driven up like 50% probably across 5 years, a little bit pre-COVID in the back end of the final iteration of the Labour and Green related governments. So we saw a situation in agriculture that was just really unsustainable and unhygienic, whereby, if there's a vacancy and policy had trapped employers to having to pay $30 an hour, well, they were having to pay it for the junior with no experience who's never farmed on pasture, because there's no warm body locally to take those vacancies. So what was occurring, everyone in the middle were getting squeezed, and the absolute top rung, let's just call them managers, maybe on their way to contract milking, they can pick paddocks, they can manage people, they can hire and fire staff for the farm owner. Those people are always getting paid because it's glaringly obvious, and they're doing some really heavy lifting. So they were getting their fair share of the pie. Juniors were probably getting a disproportionately too high amount. And your herd managers and your 2ICs were getting squeezed because the farm, as the price taker of $8 or $9 per milk solid, touch wood, we're at 10 and trending up. So that's the background to how and why we pushed so hard for those changes. And yeah, if it sounds too good to be true, it is one of those things that for once it is true, and it is equally as good as it sounds. So depending on the working hours that your juniors do, yeah, anywhere between 10 and 15,000 per year is the effective lowering of the compliance wage rate for a junior to come in and learn the industry. You guys are not silly. Once they know some stuff, they're going to get poached if you're not paying them their worth. So don't think that this is a gravy train that you can ever pay people less than their worth. But equally, I know when farmers are paying us to be involved, you do see value in both your service provider and your staff and planning 20 minutes, or to be fair, probably 5 years in advance. That is the background on the lowering of wages. All stories and anecdotal accounts in the market are true. Wages have been driven down for juniors for the first time that I know of. So I hope that gets your 2025 off to a good rolling start. Visas under those product lines can be filed from March, can start background prep like effective immediately. So interest rates are heading in the right direction, the price of milk is heading in the right direction, and the cost of entry-level staff, when you can't find people locally, are heading in the right direction. That's about all we can deliver on our end. Over to you to do it out there on the farms. Cheers, 8.